Hello, Australia, and welcome to the technologically advanced BAP. Joining me via the interwebs at various locations, Jason and Deem. Welcome, gentlemen.
I'm the senior Redcliffe correspondent. Dean is the senior Victoria Park correspondent.
Yes. We don't have any junior correspondents.
No, it's all senior.
I also have to remember to not draw down the sound of the main input, which drowns you guys out.
Yeah, there is that.
So of course, the reason for all this new technology is simply because we're all too lazy to congregate in one place.
Well, I'm actually crook. So,
Oh yeah, I don't have that excuse. I'm
like,
just.
So it's not laziness. It's more out of the kindness of my heart and not wanting to infect you. I thought I'd just dial in from home because you proved it was possible last week.
And it's working quite well. I'm very impressed. I've just checked the live stream, and it is working like a charm, so to
Crystal
speak.
clear.
So, gentlemen, what's been happening? What have you been watching? Give us the cultures.
I haven't actually been watching much new stuff this week.
I haven't. It's been 2 weeks, to be fair.
Oh, that's true. There was a new season of Detectorists,
Okay.
which neither of you guys have bothered watching,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you it's fantastic, and you won't watch it anyway.
Is it on Netflix?
No, you have to go on a jaunty adventure for this one.
I'll see what I can do. I started watching Dirk Gently. I finished the first season. I got halfway through the second season, and I was just like, eh.
Yeah.
It got a bit weird.
Well, it is indeed a bit weird, but that's kind of the premise.
Right. I also found out it got cancelled. Like it didn't get renewed for a third season. So my motivation my motivation for getting through that second season suddenly became a lot less. It's like, right,
that is a little bit sad.
I couldn't even get through the first 10 minutes.
It was quirky, and I enjoyed it. It was yeah, it was okay. It wasn't exactly top tier sort of stuff, but I found it enjoyable.
Well, I'm waiting because we've got about a month and a half, I think, until Westworld is back.
Oh, excellent.
Well, okay, so let's rattle off, since I haven't been watching much. There's Westworld, there's The Expanse, which is due out as well, but I don't think that's until they were talking about that's much later in the year.
Apparently, it's about 2 months till The Man in the High Castle comes back for season 3.
Oh, see, that's another one, yeah. There's a whole bunch which are due to come out.
Jessica Jones just dropped.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
I might watch that tonight.
There's been a bit of a break since that one, didn't they? Did they miss a year or something?
A couple of years, I think. Yeah, because she was in Defenders though, so like they did like one season of everyone.
So it finished with The Man in Purple. They wound up The Man in Purple sort of storyline, and that's where I've ended it. I think at the moment.
I don't know what that is.
The Purple dude.
I didn't watch the Defenders, so I
no, it's from the normal series. The guy who.
Oh, David Tennant.
Yeah.
Why was he called The Man in Purple?
Because he just dressed in purple all the time. Remember?
No.
No.
Oh.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Prince?
Nope. But scoff at me if you will. You guys are remembering it wrong. You know? Terrible memories.
He's known for dressing in purple.
He is. He is. I can't believe he didn't pick up because that's how he was known initially.
Oh, yeah. I would have gone for the Joker myself, but yeah. Man in Purple.
Okay.
I still would have gone for Prince. Yeah, no, okay. Look, no, I haven't got that. I sent you guys a video clip of some real live medieval melee fighting show on Vice Sports. I don't know if you guys had a chance.
Some jousting show?
I think I've seen that.
Not jousting, this is melee. So they're not on horses, they're on foot and in armor and with bases and stuff. And it's quite good.
I haven't checked that one out, but there is a I don't know, some American jousting show on that happens to be playing at the gym whenever I go there on a Saturday morning.
This is the rabbit hole I went down earlier while I was waiting to test out my Google Hangouts setup.
Yeah, so all these I don't know, extreme sportsman type guys all getting dressed up in armor and running at each other with sticks on horses.
Only this is without the horses, but no, it's like 16 on 16. It's pretty good.
Wow.
Now, how do they sort of remove each other from the battlefield?
I couldn't work it out. The Vice guy wasn't doing a good job explaining the rules, but I got the feeling that if you went down to the ground, you were out.
Right.
Like,
So you have to pummel someone into submission.
yeah, like as long as you were standing, you were still in. If you went down, I think you're out. I don't know. They had like 5-on-5. They had 10-on-10, 16
And
on
so
16.
what it
And
was,
they had
it's
individual
fully
1-on-1 as well.
fully armored, and what is the weaponry sort of dulled in any way or
Yeah, blunt
modified?
weapons, but they were people with like halberds, like using them with full leverage and bringing them down, like, bringing them down on people's heads. It was like, oh my god, like that, even dulled, that's gonna hurt.
Wow.
Um, and they had interviews with this couple who just got married. They met at one of these. It's a world championship, by the way, held in Europe every year. And they had interviews with this couple who got married, and they just changed their last names to Ironside. And she was the world champion for the halberd, and I think he was just like a dude who fought sometimes. But it was pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. I want to watch more.
Australia, Perth had a Renaissance fair kind of thing a couple of years back that Murray and I went to, and that had a tournament, mostly swords facing off against each other.
These there was a longsword. The one-on-ones were longswords, and those were pretty intense battles. It was like, whoa, this is crazy. They were really going for each other.
Yeah, you've got a lot of faith in that armor, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't.
I'm not sure I would either.
And when the guy's describing his field of vision, he's like, you got 120-degree angle to the front, and then like about 10 or 15 degrees up and down. Which I thought, when you're trying to do the 16 on 16, you can't even see to your left and right, so you can get blindsided pretty easily and taken out. So,
did we talk at all about that game Strong Kingdom Come Deliverance, which has come out? That's
Kingdom
a 15th
Come.
century. It's a 15th century, basically simulation role-playing game that's just recently come out.
Sim Peasant, yeah.
Yeah, and that also has, depending on what armor you wear, it'll commensurately reduce your field of vision and things like that as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. I've thought about downloading it and getting it, but
it does. It looks pretty good, but yeah, I mean, it is pretty involved. There's a certain amount of Middle Ages life simulator about it. So
yeah. One of my friends has it. He says he keeps dying when he tries to do shit because he's a peasant and he gets put down by the guard all the time.
Yeah.
So I watched Get Out this weekend.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, no,
I did see that Jordan Peele won the Oscar for best screenplay or something, didn't he?
I believe so.
He won an award for it because I saw Keegan-Michael Key lose his shit and stand up cheering.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, it's not the most inventive or groundbreaking thriller horror flick, but it does. It sort of brings in some interesting socio topics into play, which was interesting. And
it did play with your expectations a little bit. I did like that bit at the end. No spoilers, of course, but I expected it to go down a certain way, and it went down another way. And it was interesting, just given the whole political situation in America at the moment.
Yeah, well, he did say, I saw some comments from an interview he gave where he said he decided to go for a happy ending, given that...
given how dire it had been through the rest of the movie.
Well, he was saying with the way he was originally going to go would have made the movie a bit too woke, given the environment of relations between the black community and the police. So he went for a different ending based on that. He also, interestingly enough, was mentioning he was concerned whether the movie would be a success because he's worried about white people not wanting to come and see the movie because they were the villains, and or black people might not want to come see the movie because of the victimization.
It wasn't just white people that were villains; it was white liberals.
Yes,
which was a nice twist as well.
Yeah,
I need to watch this.
Yeah. It's really. I mean, I actually think Franco was downplaying it a little bit. I think it's much better than he seems to. Well, and it is a little more inventive than.
Like I said, it did win the Oscar for best original screenplay. I checked that. That's cool. I like both. I'm a big fan of Key and Peele and all the stuff they do. And I had been meaning to watch this. I haven't got around to it yet.
Did any of you watch their joint movie, Keanu?
Yeah.
Was that any good?
I liked it. I mean, it's a movie about two men and a cat. Don't be expecting, the heights of drama here. But I quite liked it. It's very funny. It's in line with their show, and I like all their stuff. So.
I've also been watching the documentary on Netflix of Hitler and his inner circle, which sort of
I've
focuses.
seen that. I thought about watching that. I was worried it would be cheesy.
No,
Is it
it's
cheesy?
actually pretty good. You know, if you're a huge World War II Germany buff, you're not going to learn anything new from this. But I'm not as au fait with the topics. So for me, they sort of focus on how the main players of the inner circle came together and went about their business. So I've watched the first three episodes, which gave me a lot more context about the beer hall putsch and so forth. I mean, I'm wondering if it's going to get to some more of the other aspects. I mean, you can only tell so much in a 45-minute episode, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, right. Is it one episode per inner circleman?
No,
Or
they
an
sort of mix.
episode
It's more
or
about key events
episodes?
rather than
Key events, right.
individuals.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That'll be. It's still interesting watching.
It's not
I will
bad.
check
Put it
that
that way.
Oh, look, I was watching the Netflix documentary on, I think, Heroes and Villains or Myths and Monsters or something. I mean, if I can watch that, I can definitely watch one on Germany, which is vastly more educational.
I find with the Netflix documentaries, they tend to be the very weak source variety.
Yeah, they're very wildly in quality. Some of them
Yeah.
are terrible, and some of them are all right.
The Dirty Money ones aren't too bad. They're actually more in depth, and especially
Well,
the one.
speaking of dirty money,
Yeah,
Scully went to prison.
he did 7 big ones. I'm not sure what the
Yeah.
parole period is, but
Don't know. And he went down for securities fraud.
Yes.
Defrauding
No.
investors. They're not in any way related to.
Not for being
Hiking.
not for being a dick.
No, not for being a vile human being and hiking the cost of cancer meds, but for defrauding people from cash that they invested with him.
Yeah,
But still,
that's right.
just
He
not,
ripped.
you know.
It wasn't ripping off the poor people that put him in jail. It was ripping off the rich investors.
yes,
Yeah.
That's what got him put away.
and that's what's
not
important
taking
when it comes.
advantage of the sick. No,
Yeah.
that's not a problem. The judge drew no issue with that. But ripping off the rich, no.
Can't stand by that.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, apparently he was fronting a new style, beard and prison garbs, and was in tears.
Yeah, it's a good look. It's a good look. I hope he reconsiders some of his decisions in life. Maybe
I dare say he would.
Do you reckon he's going to
7
wake
years
up?
gives you a lot of time for thinking.
It depends on how much
don't
money
know.
he's coming out with, I reckon. If he's going to be rich when he comes out, I don't think he'll.
Well, he had to surrender his Wu-Tang Clan album.
Oh, did he? I was wondering what happened with that.
Yeah, no, they had to surrender that. I think he had to surrender something like $9.3 million worth of cash and assets,
Oh wow.
which I don't think is all of what he had, though. So, not sure why he surrendered the Wu-Tang album, but he did.
So I'm guessing that was from the proceeds of crime type.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Go towards his debtors or whatever they are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully it just means the Wu-Tang album gets released. But, you know,
Yeah, he was being a massive dick about that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, he was. To be fair, though, it was in his personality.
yes.
By the time that had happened, it was not a surprise he was a massive dick about that as well.
If it hadn't been him, it would have been some other massive dick that would have done a similar thing, more than likely. I mean, the whole notion of a band putting an album together and then selling it to one individual is a bit of a dick move.
What is going on with your mic, Jace?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Sounds like
Um,
you're drinking a Coke.
No.
Slurping up the last of it or something.
are we done with the culture segment? We can move into
I reckon
news.
so.
Guess who got married?
Oh, I don't know.
Tim Wilson, Liberal MP for Goldstein. I always find it funny when Liberals.
Why is it funny the Conservative got married?
Funny's not the right word, but I like the way. And obviously, Tim Wilson has been a marriage rights advocate for quite some time. Yet he beds in with a party. Sorry, the sort of double entendre there. But he beds in with a group that staunchly went against granting equal rights. So I was just find it very interesting. Although he is a bit of a grub in other areas, so he argued against plain cigarette packaging in the past. He doesn't think too much of the Human Rights Commission. Has advocated for its abolition. Would have thought that Human Rights Commission would have, been looking out for the gays, but apparently not really worried about that.
I think they're in the conservative sites, weren't they? Tony wasn't a fan
Well, no, apparently Tim Wilson was going after him.
as well.
He's noted
Yeah.
for being staunchly against the Human Rights Commission.
Probably mainly because they like drawing attention to offshore detention centres and things like that. I guess that's one of the main things.
Well,
main
I think
problem.
it's more of a case of typical conservative thought. I only worry about it if it affects me.
Yeah.
Maybe. Either way, congratulations to Tim and Ryan, I guess.
One marriage broken up, one marriage started. Well done.
Conservatives in general, are you referring to Barnaby there?
Well,
or-
it's par for course now. It's
Is it, I didn't realize it was a zero-sum game. So
apparently it
in
is.
order for a gay
Apparently
marriage to happen,
You're only going to
a
give gay
heterosexual
marriage
marriage has
away
to
if they
end.
can adulterate and
yeah, right.
and break up. It is leading to the destruction of the heterosexual marriage. I just didn't expect it to be Barnaby Joyce's. That's all.
Well, I didn't expect him to be married or have offspring. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not a.
Well, we're not sure he has got any more offspring. He's got a previous offspring. This one may not be his.
That's right. He's denied
Yeah.
this new one, potentially with a very distasteful series of comments.
And another entry in why doesn't Barnaby just shut the fuck up?
He has shut up though. Lately.
Has he? Actually, you're right. The last 5 days, he hasn't said a thing.
The last sort of week, the Donald Trump proposed trade wars have pretty much provided Malcolm with some air cover, and no one's been harassing Tony or Michaela Cash for comments.
Oh, this is true. And it sort of came out Turnbull's way because apparently we're in line for an exemption.
Yeah,
Are we?
it's
I mean,
good.
they originally said definitely you get an exemption, and then then it
I
turned
mean-
out we weren't going to definitely get an exemption.
Trump's tweeted it now though. So
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean shit.
a presidential tweet carries a lot of weight.
I don't think it does.
Well, I was
Depends
interested.
on who's in the room with him last.
It's true. Well, Greg Norman, right, from what I understand.
If it's Greg Norman, then we're definitely going to get the deal.
Well, look, Donald Trump loves his golf.
Yeah.
And if one of his golfing heroes is telling him to do something, I think we found our new ambassador. I think we need to recall Joseph Hockey, Esquire, and make Greg Norman our new ambassador because he can get shit done.
Obviously on the world stage, Trump has also been getting some kudos from some idiots about how he's going to meet with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. He's said he was open to it in the past, and he wasn't, and he was, and he wasn't. Now he is apparently going to meet with him. I don't know. Is it going to happen?
Oh, who knows? But it's
I don't know if it's going to happen, but I mean, normally you'd have to say any kind of dialogue's got to be a good idea, right?
Yeah.
But everyone in America is just freaking afraid that he's so stupid that they're going to get one over on him.
I'm just wondering if we're going to find who really has the biggest dick in that room.
I think it might be the North Korean.
I mean, on an international stage, they've been engaging in some pretty hefty dick measuring. So now that they're in the same room, this is our chance.
I'm confused because if both these guys turn up at the meeting and nothing happens, Kim Jong-un wins. He gets a legitimization of his rule, whereas America gains nothing from it.
I actually think it's win-win for both of them because they're both like, "Hey, I tried, and now we're invading," or you know, "Hey, I tried, and now we're going to keep going with our nuclear program." I don't know. I don't think it can be bad. I guess we'll see.
Well,
It doesn't take a lot for Trump to fuck things up.
No, and it's the easiest thing to imagine someone outsmarting him in the negotiation table.
Well,
right?
and depending on when this happens as well, I mean, he may not be able to go. Did you see the news coming out of Washington today that Trump has just hired Bill Clinton's former impeachment lawyer?
Oh, really?
To join the team, yeah. So
That is interesting.
I've got the name written down here, and I'm struggling to find it because I'm. Emmett T. Flood, the lawyer who previously represented former President Bill Clinton during his impeachment process,
Wow.
is being groomed to come on board for Team Trump. They are not looking to get rid of White House lawyer Ty Cobb. Seems to be for a separate position. I'm wondering
Well, that's good, 'cause
if
you
they're
can't
not preparing themselves for Robert Mueller.
because he can't afford to lose any more staff because apparently they're just abandoning ship. At a great rate.
Well, and so maybe the meeting will never happen. Maybe this will be one of those moments where we'll be like, if only Trump could have met with him, we might have had a different outcome. But he's in jail
And he would
now.
say, "Well, I had it lined up. It was going to be fantastic. It was going to be tremendous.
It's going to be the best deal the country's ever had."
Those liberals just wouldn't let me do it." Yeah.
Well, some people
another point in that area of the world, China, our future
China.
our future world leader, Xi Jinping, has managed to get their parliament to abolish the term limits for the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
So he may be the
Yeah,
ongoing tyrant, and he's soon to rule over everyone. So it's
my my friend who lives in China forwarded me this when it happened. He was not happy. Obviously, expressing that publicly is dangerous. But
Yeah.
he was basically like, "Oh, this is such bullshit. Time to move."
I think where was it? Was it nearly 3,000 members of China's National People's Congress voted the highly controversial constitutional amendment through during a Saturday afternoon session. Actually, I'm going to check it now. I'm interested to know. Oh yeah, of the 3,000, 2,957 were cast in favour of the change. So clearly, very unified.
Yeah, look,
behind their all-powerful leader.
yeah, I mean, it's similar. I mean, Russia obviously did similar things with Putin. Sometimes
Well,
a
didn't
case
he
can
had
be
to
made, you know.
Putin did a dodge, didn't he?
He stepped down to the
he took
lower
over
position.
the premiership. He was the president, and he took over the premiership because
He was, yeah, because he
basically-
couldn't be the president again, and then they
Yeah.
changed the law, and then he was president again.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, he had to pay some kind of lip service to the constitution, whereas Xi Jinping goes, "Fuck it, I'll just change it."
Yeah, I'll just change rules.
But 2,157 voting in favour. I mean, who are those three that didn't? Right? Where are they now?
Exactly. Who are they? They don't exist anymore.
Well, oh no, sorry, hang on. I should have read further. While 3 delegates abstained and 2 voted against. Ooh. I don't think they're long for this world, those 2 that voted against.
I was reading, you know who was a fan of Donald Trump's foreign policy statesmanship?
Netanyahu?
Elon Musk?
Paul Keating.
Oh, really?
He came out of the
Oh, I
trap.
saw that too. What the fuck?
I know. I always thought Paul Keating was quite a shrewd player, and it's like...
So did I. This does not...
Well, he is. It's just, you can be shrewd and...
Wrong.
A fan of Donald Trump, right?
I didn't... Franco, did you read on further as to what his rationale was behind it? I didn't quite... I only saw the headline, basically, and I was
Well,
thinking,
basically
what
it
the hell?
was, he was saying, Donald Trump is surprisingly good at foreign policy.
Oh, hang on, that's different, right? Because
That-
he's an
that is-
idiot. And
Yeah.
you'd be like... And to be fair, he's meeting with North Korea. I was like, wow, I didn't think that would happen.
Yeah,
That was surprisingly good.
So if he gets out of there with his pants still on, he's done surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he was critiquing America for not really having a strategy for 24 years, and he was criticizing Barack Obama's timidity and lack of policy ambition. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a little bit odd for him to say. I mean, he knows how politics works. They had a position; they were taking it. It was basically just controlling what they had, and
Yeah, I feel like Obama did the best of what he could. There was a Republican-controlled Senate and House.
I think he did mostly what he wanted to do as well. He
He wasn't a
he set out
progressive
to do what he
trailblazer.
wanted to, and it just wasn't what we wanted necessarily.
No, he played the game as he always played it. Very
Yeah.
boring, very conservative.
Well, I mean, the same is true for Trump. He's played it the way he's always played it too.
Wild and loose.
Yeah, wild and loose. And if he goes bankrupt, Daddy will bail him out. It's fine. So I'm just going to return back to the Trump's steel tariffs. And just to check you guys on this, because I don't think this is a good thing, even though we're immune to it. I don't think us being immune to it is good. I mean, it's good. It's good for Australian companies that export raw materials out of Australia. I get that. That's a positive, but we're sort of going along with it now and saying, yeah,
We
we're
don't
okay with
produce
that.
steel here, though, do we?
No, but we could.
we could.
I think there's specific extracts raw iron ore, ships it to California where it gets put into steel. I think that's probably who this is.
I remember one of the companies I was working for was making a big deal about it. Like Hammersley Iron were creating their own high smelt system, which was going to be smelting steel here in Australia, but it never really got past a proof of concept kind of situation.
Maybe now it will.
Perhaps,
but even still, like a country like America putting up protectorist tariffs like this just encourages other people to do it. And while we're immune to this one, it doesn't mean that the global economy won't just be fucked by Trump.
Well, I mean, in some ways, some of these protectionist things are already going up in place. I mean, they're just worded differently. For example, Britain, there's a reason why Britain is a little nervous about leaving the EU, because there's certain advantages to being inside the EU when trading with those neighbours. So obviously that means that there's certain costs to companies that are trading outside it.
Yeah. I saw in the paper today, Elon Musk was encouraging Trump to take China on over the 25% tariff they put on for cars that are imported from America. I don't know, and then using it as a negotiation piece against Canada and Mexico as they try and renegotiate NAFTA. It all just seems very underhanded to me, but maybe I'm just...
Well, I mean, if we're moving into the doom and gloom situation here, where what I'm saying is
we're just going along with what he's saying as if we're.
No, but
okay
what
with
I'm
it,
saying
which
is, given the global situation, and it does feel like we're moving towards more conflicts and things like that, self-sufficiency is going to become more important. I mean,
yeah, which is why we never should get rid of our manufacturing base in the first place. But
so the fact that America's making moves to redevelop its own steel industry is possibly a good thing if it eventually is going to be at war with China, because
maybe.
that's, as I said, that's the doom and gloom situation. But
yeah. I am interested to see what happens with Robert Mueller. I am really interested to see how that goes.
It's taking forever. Come on, Robert. Bring something to court.
It is taking forever, and I'm just curious as to how much damage Trump can do in the time he's still around. I mean, he may not get removed either, but it looks like it. You know, they're narrowing in on him.
Well, he's already done a lot of damage with the tax giveaway to the rich and corporations. So
yeah,
that'll be a very difficult one for the Democrats to roll back.
To claw back, yeah.
Well, if they want to. I mean, most of the Democrats there don't want them to roll that back.
Wow.
They're all pretty corporatist. They're happy with that.
Yeah, they're pretty okay with it.
Did you guys see Steve Bannon on the travel circuit?
No. What's he been touting?
So he's traveling around Europe attending a bunch of far-right rallies. But this weekend he was in France, flanked by Marine Le Pen, who was trying to rebuild the Nationalist Front party after their disastrous loss in the recent elections. But when she welcomed him on stage, she referred to him as the architect of Donald Trump's victory and an important voice on globalization and protectionism.
Oh, I didn't think he was a globalist.
Do you know what his primary message to the crowd was? It's very Tyrion Lannister. Let them call you a racist. Let them call you xenophobes. Let them call you nativists. Wear it as a badge of honor. What a twat.
Yes, he certainly got cucked by President Trump. It's interesting to see he's managed to reconstitute himself and get back out there, you know, into safe spaces where he can sort of spout his nativist message.
He's making his influence known elsewhere in Italy and France. He's trying to, you know, he seems to have bounced back. Still looks, you know, scrappy, not very well maintained. What was Donald Trump? What was his name for him?
Oh, Scruffy?
Scruffy Steve, yeah.
It's interesting that he ended up getting played by Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think everyone gets played by Donald Trump eventually.
I think where you need to sort
Jeff Sessions got played by Donald Trump.
Oh, yes. I think where you have to give it to Donald, I don't know if give it's the right word or praise. I need another sort of term that's more negative, but Donald Trump is a chump. And he's not very smart. But where he is smart is screwing people over. He is very effective at that.
I think he's done it a lot. You know, he's trained.
Yes.
You know, so he's good at it because he does it regularly, whereas other people don't do it that often, and they don't have quite the same knack that Donald has for it.
A knack for just flat out lying and then doing something different.
I was going to say, I think he's a bit of a predator. You know, like he's not a pack hunter. He's an alpha dog.
Well.
He's okay with throwing people under the bus.
I don't think we need to overthink this too much. He just doesn't mind. Has no attachment at all to any promises he's made. So
yeah,
that's all it is.
I guess what I'm saying is he's a bit of a sociopath.
Oh, definitely. But most people get caught out by that sort of behaviour. But he's managed to, you know, excel. You know, he's obviously crashed and burned at times and gone bankrupt, but managed to pick himself up and lie still and cheat his way back to the top screwing people over, and still,
Well-
as of yet, has not gone to jail for any of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And you got to think there's got to be more dirt on him out there.
Apparently, with the Russian situation came up, the reason he got so involved with them was because he simply could not get funding at all from inside the United States.
Oh,
Which
yes.
is why he had to go overseas and get investors and billionaires and things to do things that way.
That documentary on Netflix talks a lot about the path of how Trump went down to get funding for his building projects in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, right. But is it necessarily wrong of him to go and seek funding?
No,
from the
absolutely
Kremlin?
not.
Like,
Actually, this
Well-
is one interesting question because to me, everyone's getting their nose bent out of shape because it's Russian oligarchs that are attempting.
well,
to
hang on. Putin says it's Russian Jews. So
Okay.
I don't know who we believe here. You
Well,
say oligarchs, Putin says Jews.
some people just call them globalists and be done with it. You know what I mean? But this is right. I mean, everyone's getting bent out of shape, saying, "How could you let these Russians get involved?" When there's plenty of billionaires inside the US that have no particular attachment to the country that are trying to pervert the course of their democracy as well. So
And if their money was under threat, they would move.
apparently,
They would take their billions elsewhere.
apparently they just want local people fucking with their elections. That's all.
Yeah, see, I get it to an extent. If you're not operating inside the country, you're not affected by the laws, you probably shouldn't be influencing it. But at the same time,
but then again, they
I
have
don't want
investments. in the-
companies influencing the law. I don't really want unions influencing.
But
the
if you want to
companies
take if they want to take that line, then the Russians have investments in the US, so they have skin in the game.
either. Yeah, no. I understand. I don't like any kind of donations to political parties.
No,
You know?
it should
and,
just be publicly
and I don't
funded.
like even when people are in politics and they're like, oh, as a blah 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 Christian, it's like, oh no, bad. Like, do the right thing by your constituency. That is your job. Don't do the right thing by your faith. That is your personal belief. You got to represent the people you're there to represent. Like Tim Wilson does. So last week we didn't do a show, but I want to talk about Michaela Cash's meltdown if we can. 'Cause we didn't
Fantastic
get to talk about it
meltdown.
before. But Barnaby Joyce was all over the news, and he was desperate for cover, and Michaela Cash obviously just took that on board, and was like, "I'm going to take one for the team."
She jumped in front of that bullet like a Secret Service.
I think it was a grenade. Like, she just leapt
She dove
on,
on the
and she may have even lobbed the grenade herself and then leapt on it.
She pulled the pin and jumped on top of it.
Yeah, did you
it was-
guys
it
hear
was-
the audio?
It was spectacular.
Yeah, I saw that a little bit of that. It was on Mad as Hell the other night, and it's hilarious.
And the photo everyone was using of Michaela Cash in the paper, on the internet, everywhere for the next week was just the worst photo of her you could ever take. She's just this angry-looking woman. But to recap for our dear listeners who don't know, Michaela Cash was enduring an ongoing set of questions from Doug Cameron, who was a Labor senator, about the employment history of her new chief of staff. Of course, her old chief of staff had quit after a previous scandal. Very clearly, Doug was trying to hint at something. I don't know what that something was, because it never got revealed. But her reaction was kind of next level stupid. She threatened to name every young woman in Bill Shorten's office over the years through which she had heard rumors about. And if Doug wanted to go down that path, she'd do it. And it wasn't long before Penny Wong took the stand to defend these nameless staffers, requesting that Senator Cash withdraw these outrageous slurs. Michaela then offered a pretty weak withdrawal. If anyone was offended, I withdraw my comments, before forcefully having to retreat unconditionally the next day.
The speaker apparently suggested, as what the young people say, she might need a chill pill.
Well, yes. Yeah. Doug Cameron did, calm down, maybe you do. What I thought was really good, the next day, the Honourable Tony Abbott, while being interviewed on Radio 2GB, said he had no idea what she was thinking at the time and suggested maybe she had a bit of a brain snap.
He'd be familiar
I
with
love
that.
the way Tony can just snipe from the sides. Like, that bitch is crazy.
He must
I
be.
like
He
that he was
must.
biting into an onion at the time.
I mean, I know he wants to be the prime minister eventually, but he must be enjoying where he is a little bit. Like, oh, no care, no responsibility. He can just sling shit as much as he likes.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Tony's always been very good at that. You know, he's a destroyer. He's a very gifted
He
destroyer.
is, but he's missing a platform now.
He's still got Radio 2GB, man.
Yeah, but
People still listen to him, Franco. He's not
he was
going
he
anywhere.
was at his peak when he was the opposition leader. That is when his
Yeah.
sniping ability was fully utilised. You know, being on the
Well,
bench and
Don't
sniping.
forget, Malcolm has, as of last Monday-ish, Malcolm's now lost 28 consecutive news polls. Now, the measure he applied when he ousted Tony Abbott was 30 news polls in a row. Malcolm's at 28.
And Tony is hanging on to. I saw a piece about that. So Tony hasn't forgotten the metric.
No, I don't think the Australian electorate has forgotten either. I don't think the media will let Malcolm Turnbull forget either.
I mean, I'm not holding Malcolm Turnbull's account to any sort of polling, but I'm more than happy for the media to run with it.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, even when he did it at the time, he was like, "Look, Tony's lost 30 news polls in a row." I was like, "Ooh, well, that's a bit of a dangerous trend to start because now every prime minister is going to be held to that till the end of time." And obviously, I was hoping we were going to leave the era of backknifing in Australian politics, but maybe not. Or maybe Malcolm can take it on at the head and just declare a spill motion himself. 30 polls lost. Spill, I nominate myself. Does anyone else want to go up for it?
Well, I think it's a dangerous thing if we keep on filling up the backbench with malcontents. We've got Barnaby there. We've got Tony there.
Yeah.
Is there enough room?
I don't know. I actually am surprised Michaela Cash isn't on her way to the backbench, to be honest. That is the second sort of major blunder. So
Yeah, you would have thought that such a minor thing she would have easily brushed off, but to go off the deep
dude,
end.
the worst part was she's the Minister for Jobs, right? And she's tarnishing these women who have jobs. And at the time, Malcolm was out of the country, so she was representing him as the Minister for Women. So she was the Minister for Women and Jobs, targeting women with jobs.
Yeah, victim blaming.
Yeah. I know, right? Victim blaming. It's like, oh, Jesus, that's just so wrong. But on top of that, it's just been released that the Registered Organisations Commission has approved a defence fund of about $500,000 to defend the union watchdog after Michaela Cash's own department leaked information to the media about the works on AWU.
Oh.
You know those leaks that she
Yes.
denied 5 times at the Senate Estimates Committee, only to later find out that no, it did come from her staff and she just had too much faith in them.
Well, was that the chief of staff that got let
No,
go of?
her media director immediately resigned.
Right.
And then as the questions heated up as to who the source was of the information, her chief of staff also resigned.
Right. Okay.
No one's yet found out who the exact leak was. But I did hear that someone from within the actual watchdog themselves was supposed to come on board for her as the new media commentator, but they had to pull out of that as well. So there's rumours abound as to who it was. It may have been one of the number of young ladies from Bill Shorten's office. I don't know.
Well, yes, if she's going to throw blame around, well, might have to look in that direction. Maybe she was hinting at something.
Yeah.
Beyond the obvious.
Beyond the obvious, yeah. It's impossible to say.
What do you think she's hinting that Shorten actually sexually harassed her?
Well, no, that perhaps it was one of Shorten's staff that made the leaks.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious as to what Doug Cameron was hinting at too.
Yeah. Which we never really got to the bottom of. Because, I mean, this was hot off the heels of Barnaby's mistress being moved to another office. So maybe he was sort of hinting at that sort of shenanigan.
Maybe. It's interesting anyway. Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Bill Shorten did, as far as I'm aware, get one of his staff as pregnant in the past anyway. So.
Yeah. What do you know much about what happened there?
It happened, I think, when Gillard was PM.
Right.
And Shorten was just, a regular member of the House of Reps. But I don't know enough of the details. I just know that whenever people were talking about Barnaby, Bill was not really making any comments about it because, he's totally maybe guilty of that himself.
I'm just looking on the newspaper now. Apparently, countrywomen have been urged to come forward with complaints about Barnaby Joyce. So, seems like the dust hasn't settled on our fair Nationals ex-leader.
Awkward.
Very awkward. Apparently, there was some ill dealings between him and the WA Nationals, where they were sort of, obviously they were feeling a bit of heat from the fallout on this, in particular because a female had gone with a complaint to the WA branch about Barnaby. And
that is the one that, yep. The woman who came forward, whose name we don't want to mention,
yes,
that the media then leaked.
Yes,
that is
the one.
WA.
And they were showing some in
but
the.
It's not Mia Davies, the leader of the National Party here. Just
No.
to clarify.
No.
She has also come out against Barnaby Joyce.
Yeah. Well, apparently that we got to see some of the text that was shared between the two, where Mia sort of approached Barnaby, saying, in essence, saying, "Look, we're feeling a bit of heat about what's happening with you and so forth," and Barnaby replied back with WA Nationals. Well, in a polite but stern reply, saying, "WA Nationals don't have a federal MP, and they are not part of a coalition with the Liberals, so they don't have any skin in the game. So, butt out."
I mean, he's not wrong. They don't have any federal MPs. So
but that doesn't mean they don't have skin in the game. They've got a brand they have to work with, and he's tarnishing it as fast as he can.
yeah, I mean, the Nationals brand is an interesting one, though, because in a lot of states, WA Nationals here aren't officially a member of the coalition party. I think they negotiate it pretty much every time there's a Liberal government. They join in, but they're not officially a member of the coalition.
Yeah.
In Queensland, they are a formal single party now, and like the Nationals are weird.
And
yeah, but for him to say, "Shut up, you've got no skin in the game," when hey, we're a member of your party, wanker.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We have to sell this shit over here, and you're going along.
Sort of spoiling the brand a little bit.
Yeah. Going against their core brand proposition.
Well, I mean, it's happened before. I mean, the Australian Democrats pretty much self-destructed. They were, a fairly regular, one of the stronger third party side of things for a long time, since the late 70s, and then they just died.
Yeah, they were an option for people who really weren't happy with the core parties to vote for, and then when they proved that they just bend over and go with them anyway, that just totally wrecked them. Yeah,
I used to vote for them. Yeah, and then I don't.
Yeah,
I stopped before they self-destructed, but not by much, and they really were disappointing in the end.
They really fell apart, particularly when Natasha Stott Despoja left them. She was the glamour candidate of the Democrats.
And then went to Labor, didn't she?
Yes. Yeah. She went to...
I think she got heavily betrayed with Labor too, didn't she? She didn't wind up having a good time.
No, she had a very miserable time. And also brought the... Well, I don't necessarily think she brought the downfall of the Democrats, but that hurt them majorly. It wasn't long after that they sort of folded.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm out of stories. You guys got stuff?
No, I'm pretty much out.
Nope. I think that's a wrap. This has been a good trial run of BAPing from 3 disparate locations. So I think it's going to
close though. If you zoom out enough,
yeah, that's right. You don't have to scan too much on the Google Maps.
Yeah.
No, I think we're all within a 10k radius, which just goes to show how lazy we are.
The main reason was I couldn't be asked cycling to your house and then cycling back later on. So
no, and I understand it. How can I throw shade when I never have to go anywhere for the show?
Yeah.
All right, chaps, that's a sign off. Thank you very much for listening, Australia. Au revoir.
Good night, Australia.
See ya.